The room fell silent. The hum of anticipation was almost unbearable as Kennedy stepped up to the podium. Cameras clicked, reporters shifted in their seats, and the nation, watching from every corner of the country, held its collective breath. This was supposed to be a routine committee hearing, yet the tension in the air hinted at something far more explosive. And then, as if on cue, Nancy Pelosi, with a decisive flick of her hand, tried to cut Kennedy's microphone. Kennedy froze for a brief second, feeling the sting of the moment. The audience gasped. Some muttered, unsure if the gesture was procedural or personal. But instead of anger, Kennedy's eyes glimmered with something deeper, a calm, unwavering faith that had carried him through every storm of his life. He leaned closer to the mic that still hummed faintly, and in a voice both measured and commanding, he quoted scripture, "Let your speech always be gracious, seasoned with salt, so that you may know how you ought to answer each person." The room went still. Not a sound, not a cough, not even the shuffle of papers. His words, drawn from the ancient text, were more than a quotation, they were a mirror held up to the moment. Pelosi's stern expression faltered slightly, and Kennedy's gaze, steady and unflinching, swept across the room. It hadn't always been easy for Kennedy. Born into a world that often misunderstood him, he had grown up under the weight of expectations, public scrutiny, and personal loss. Yet it was these very challenges that had tempered his character, teaching him the quiet power of restraint, the hidden strength and patience, and the remarkable influence of speaking truth with grace. As he continued, his voice softened but gained in intensity, carrying both conviction and compassion. "We are here not merely to assert power, but to uphold responsibility. To remember that our words shape the lives of those who hear them, sometimes more than we realize. And when we seek to silence one another, we risk losing the very essence of what it means to lead." The journalists scribbled furiously, their pens trying to keep pace with the weight of his message. Staffers leaned forward, sensing that this was more than a simple exchange of political tactics, it was a lesson in humanity, in leadership, in courage under pressure. Pelosi, momentarily caught off guard, hesitated. She had the authority to enforce silence, to assert control, to remind Kennedy of the rules. But something in the room had shifted. The raw honesty of Kennedy's words, the moral clarity that radiated from him, reminded everyone present of a simple truth: leadership is not about dominance, it is about integrity, humility, and the power to rise above petty disputes. Kennedy paused, letting the silence linger, before continuing with a quiet intensity. "In moments of conflict, I have learned, it is not the loudest voice that prevails, but the voice that speaks with wisdom, with purpose, with love for those who listen.